Just wanted to check with our members of the media. Is everybody good? Is everybody ready? Okay, awesome. I'm going to hand it over to Mayor Tim Keller to get us started.
Okay, well, thank you all so much for being here. And I know just a couple of housekeeping items. I know it's pretty hot, so we appreciate everyone. There's shade back there. And I think folks can at least hear us because I do want to thank everyone for coming. And we want to touch on some extremely important issues, obviously around bicycle safety and around Kayla's life that was lost, just right there. Let me start by taking us back 7 years ago. I was at a very similar event, and it was outside of Cleveland Middle School, and a child had been hit by a car. I don't remember the legal details, but as I vaguely recall, it was sort of deemed an accident and, no one was inebriated and so forth. But that incident spurred our city to action. First, that is why there is a hawk light there. We put a hawk light up there within 3 months. And that's why there's a fence on the median. And a hawk light, everyone here knows what that is, but it is a much safer way to cross the street for pedestrians and bicycles. I share with you that story because it was not just about that one crossing. We took that for the next year and we worked with APS and we identified all of the city dangerous crosswalks and we redid all of them. And we got our state legislators to help fund it. And no one remembers this, but it was the year of crosswalk safety for our schools. And the reason why you don't remember it is because we did the work to make those crosswalks safer. Now, I'm sure eventually there will be another incident, and I'm sure there are some issues, of course, with our school crosswalks. But we are here today in many ways with an opportunity to do the right thing, to do a similar program for what we did for our kids who are crossing the street to bikers who are riding on our bike trails. And it is obviously spurned on, unfortunately and terribly, by a loss of life for a young woman who is even working, of course, at Esperanza at our own bike program. And one of the best things we can do is make sure, one, that this does not happen again, and two, it's just the smallest way we can honor what happened to her by making sure that we elevate these issues about bicycle safety and we prioritize them and we do something about them. And because now there is a spotlight on this issue, there is increased awareness on this issue, we can seize this moment to move much, much faster on things that we know we should have done a long time. I knew that crosswalk at Cleveland should have been fixed because my family went there and I grew up right next to it. And we've all had our own experiences on this bike trail and others, and we all know that those yellow flashing lights simply don't work. And it has been documented, it has been in studies. And in fact, this very crossing was one that we were supposed to fix. It just didn't happen fast enough. So I hope we can use this so that we do not have to have another one of these announcements. Now, obviously, this is a little bit bigger in scale than the example I gave you before, but I think you understand the opportunity that we have today. And I'm just going to touch on what we're actually announcing in terms of substance, and then introduce some other folks. So we are going to make the next hawk light in the city right there. And because that is where the first and next hawk light should be on our bike trails. We believe we can actually do that within a matter of months. And we appreciate very much our team. We're going to hear more about the details, but our team at Public Works for finding a way to do that. Now, we're announcing, though, much more. We are going to try and do 7 of these appropriate bicycle street crossings, all up and down the bike trails just in the next year. Let's say roughly by the end of 2026. So it's like a year plus a few months. And we think we can do this. But we're going to need some help. So we're going to need help from City Council. We're joined here by City Councilor Feeblecorn, who wonderfully has offered to do anything she can to help. Thank you so much for that offer. And I know she's going to be busy with a lot of this. We also know that we have these laws that all of us know are inadequate. What do you do with a flashing yellow and a bike crosswalk where you may or may not see the biker? And I think you've read these stories. It's actually technically a yield, but what does a yield even mean? Like, that doesn't necessarily mean stop. So yes, we have to change state laws too. And maybe now we can finally do that. Maybe now we can push that through. And we also can try and do this at the city. And I think this is what we've recently just learned through some legal analysis, is that we might be able to do more through city ordinance than we even thought. And so that's why also City Council is going to be a wonderful partner for us. I do want to mention we are already in the process of installing 8 more automated speed enforcement cameras. A lot of those are aligned with what we've learned from Bike ABQ and the bike community about bicycle deaths. That was already going to happen, but I want to remind folks why we're doing it. This is why we put automated speed enforcement cameras. It is because it leads to loss of life. Now, it can be loss of life on a bicycle, but we also know all too often it is loss of life of a pedestrian or someone in a car because they're going 90 miles an hour, and that's when it becomes fatal instead of just a car wreck. And I don't want to lose focus today on bicycle safety, but I also want to acknowledge the work that we've tried to do with respect to speeding has a name and in general pedestrian safety in the city. And so that's why we're going to continue that work with our automated speed cameras. And look, we need to work with whether it's UNM professors, whether it's city and state policymakers, to make sure that we have a whole package of laws that we can change at the city and the state level for pedestrian safety and for bicycle safety. And so that is what we're going to embark on together. And everything is on the table. I mentioned the yield issue is one for sure. There's even funding streams, like half the funding for tickets when you get a speeding ticket goes to the state general fund. How about that goes to bicycle safety from where the ticket was actually given? These are things we can change. So I'm going to stop talking because I am the least important person that you should hear from today. And the most important I want to introduce. Some of us have just recently had some conversations with her. Some of you who've known her for a long time, and we knew her daughter in many ways for a long time, and especially through the city program. So Kayla's mom is here with us today, and I want to invite Melinda Montoya up to share a few words. Thank you for her courage and her grace.
Thank you. I would probably have something written so I don't cry, but I'm just going to hold space. My daughter was a spectacular human, as everybody got to meet her and know. And the one thing that she would want is for me to be here really encouraging safety and other people's lives, because she saw the humanity in everyone. And I just hope that we use this opportunity as pedestrians, cyclists, and also motorists as a community to move forward to really make feasible change for community safety. And I just thank everybody for being here and just recognizing the importance of this moment and everybody's work they continue to do to make Albuquerque safer. Thank you. Thank you.
Sure. This is Pat from the local neighborhood. You can use the mic, it's okay.
Oh no, I can talk loud. Here's a photo of Kyla, and I've been showing it this morning, and I think when you see the actual person, it means a lot rather than just talking about her. So I'll have it right over here if anybody else wants to see it. Thank you.
Thank you, Pat. Thank you. So let's, first, Melinda, thank you again for your courage and your grace in a time of grieving. To stand here and say that this is an opportunity to do more, that is amazing. So we are grateful for it, and it is also inspiring to myself personally, and I know to everyone who cares about this issue. And that includes some folks from the city who also have their own bicycle lives and even, of course, run the program that Kayla was in. And so that's why next up, I want to go ahead and bring up, let's actually start with, Dave, I don't have you on I have you last, but okay, so we're actually going to start with Jennifer to talk about the Hawk Light. So Jennifer Turner runs our pedestrian safety program along with all the public works in the city. Jennifer Turner.
Thank you, Mayor. And I'm Jennifer Turner, and I just want to start by saying I am first and foremost a mom. And so I just want to say thank you very much to Ms. Montoya for her bravery and her call to action to make everyone safer, and so that this never ever happens again. And I commit to you, I think you've heard Mayor commit, that this is not just a call for action, this is action. And I commit that we are going to do everything we can to make roads safer. With that, I'm also a cyclist, and I am also the director of the City Department of Municipal Development. So we're public works, and we build the city, including bike trails and safer roads. And so part of our responsibilities are pedestrian safety and cyclist safety, as well as safer crossings such as hawk signals, protected bike lanes, and we also add speed bumps to your neighborhoods to slow traffic down. We also spearheaded, in conjunction with community input and input from many of you, as well as the Parks and Rec Department and others, the brand new, unanimously passed by Council Bikeways Plan. The plan recommends more than 200 projects around the city, including bikeways and multi-use trails. And the goal of the plan, and why I think we're all here today, is to make biking safer for people and appealing for people of all ages, abilities, and backgrounds. And so we're actively working on the plan today, and many of the projects in the plan, including, as Mayor said, upgrading the flashing signal right down there to a full hawk signal. And we're going to be doing that in the next 2 months by taking advantage of existing infrastructure and really the will and the call for action that Kayla's death has provided. And so within 2 months, you'll see a hawk signal at that signal. And just reminder, hawk means stop. When you see a red light, I know everyone here knows this, but just to Albuquerque drivers, you have to stop at red lights at hawk signals. We're adding, as Mayor said, 7 new hawk signals around the city and within the next year, including on East Central at Dorothy and Britt, and then also at San Mateo by Catherine, Guadalupe Trail in Montano, and then trails at the hawks at the crossings up and down the Han Arroyo, including at San Mateo and here. We're also adding 8 more speed cameras. We already have 20, but we'll have 8 more by the end of the year, including right here on Carlisle and Del Mar to slow down the speeding drivers. And then also in DMD, we take pride in our neighborhood traffic management program that adds speed bumps and traffic calming measures around the city. Just this year, we've added speed humps in 35 neighborhoods and have 5 more projects planned for 2025. So I know there's a call for action. I know it's not enough, but we are working every day with other departments and stakeholders like you to make streets safer for everyone. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Jennifer. And we know that some of this is going to require, as I mentioned, City Council action. So I just again want to appreciate Councilor Feeblecorn for being here. Some of this also is about the state. I do want to acknowledge that Senator Bergman's office is here. I don't have a name, so can you give us a hand wave? Yes. So if you want to talk a little bit about some of the state policy changes and whatnot, I know the senator is very interested in helping, which is why her team is here, and as well as a number of actually representatives in the area have reached out to us. I don't want to get ahead of ourselves and like go through everyone's name and all this kind of stuff, but I just want you to know we've received nothing but positive feedback from area state legislators on some of these changes. Now, to talk a little bit more about the programs that we're working on, let's hand it over to our Director of Parks and Rec, who of course also runs all our bicycle programs, including Esperanza. And so Dave Simon, come on up.
How you doing? Have a nice day. What's up, dude?
She didn't.
Well, thank you, Mayor. Thanks to all of you who have come today. I know how much you care about Kayla, about bicycling, about what it adds to our city, and thank you for being here. Kayla worked for our Esperanza Bicycle Safety and Education Center for about 3.5 years. It's like longer than the average Gen X job length. So she was great. She stuck at it. She loved her job. And we love Kayla. She was terrific in this job. She really cared. She loved to bike. She loved to hike. She liked to bike pack, I learned, which is even like a more difficult, challenging thing to do on a bicycle. But she loved to bike pack too, and she loved nature. And she loved her job. I think she loved the fact, as her mom told me, that she could make a difference in a very real way, person by person. She could make a difference, whether it was helping a young child learn to ride and to ride safely, or helping an adult learn how to care for and maintain their bicycle as a way of pursuing recreation, or maybe even as their means to commute to a job. And so she loved the fact that she was making a difference in our city. So she was just taken far too soon. And there's a lot we want to do to honor Kayla's memory, honor her contributions. And I think we'll need to work through that and come up, with the absolute most glorious and perfect things we can do to honor her. And in the meantime, as the mayor said, we gotta do the work. We gotta stay doing the work, because this is something that we do every day in the city, in the Department of Municipal Development, in parks, and in other city departments, about making our city better and, of course, keeping people safe. We have a 150-mile bike trail network in our city. It's wonderful. In many ways, it's like the heart, the arteries of our community, and it connects us as a community. And of course, we want all of these trails to be safe, and that's why we have been and will continue and will do more investing in safety, including these kinds of crossing improvements, along with new lighting. We're working with Councilor Feeblecorn on some very important initiatives to add more safety lighting to trails, to new signage, all kinds of improvements to make our wonderful trail system better and safer. I think we know that some of our east-west trails, such as this one, the Paseo de la Noreste Trail, as well as the Paseo de la Montañas Trail, which is an east-west trail from the mountains to the mid-heights. These are primed places that need, additional safety investment, and we're going to continue to get after doing that. Working smart by investing in the most important places with the dollars and resources that we have. But, we need the resources. We will need funding, and we will need advocacy for both funding and policy change. And that's why it takes all of us. I'm incredibly grateful for the bicycle advocacy and bicycle support organizations such as Bike ABQ, Duke City Wheelman, other bicycle clubs. Thank you. Thank you for doing what you do every day. Thank you for being here today. It's going to take all of us to get these things done in honor of Kayla and every other rider, living or past. We need to be a team to do this. And I guess I'll say, we need to ride as a team like cyclists can do. You can pull each other along, right? And we need to be the safety peloton that gets all this done. Thank you.
Now, what we'd like to do next is we do want to respect if there are some questions, and I think Rebecca's going to kind of moderate that, but obviously for the community that's gathered here, Dave and Jennifer and I will stick around and talk about whatever you'd like to talk about, but just in terms of folks doing the public communication on this, Rebecca, go ahead.
Anybody from the media have any questions?
When you all say that laws are inadequate, what do you mean by that? I know some people don't get charged when they do hit a bicyclist. What do you all hope to see changed within state laws?
Sure, and I do want to acknowledge another senator has some staff here, Senator Antoinette Cedillo Lopez. Give us a wave, I was told. Thank you. Yes, good to see you. Let me have Jennifer and Dave talk about those specific laws, because it's not just like there are things that are so much more common sense than looking at penalties and prosecution. I'm sure that's an issue. It is, frankly, throughout a lot of our criminal justice code. But this is as simple as, like, what does it mean at a crosswalk and you see someone? Stop, right? It turns out that's not the law. So those are the kinds of things we also need to fix. Do you guys want to run through in a little more detail?
Thank you, Mayor, and that's a great question. We both have a city traffic ordinance that has protections for cyclists in it, as well as there are many state laws involving cyclists and pedestrians. And frankly, many of the laws have not been updated in years and years and don't reflect the many different types of users we have on roads and the many different types of crossings. So hawk signals, they're a relatively new invention, and I bet if you polled the average driver, they would say, well, we don't even know what that is. And so we need to make sure our laws reflect those crossings, that drivers stop for cyclists and pedestrians at those crossings, and that really we bring all those laws up to date to reflect everything that we see today in the different types of crossings. I also want to mention a critical driver education point. So I have a daughter about to start driver's education, and she's not going to learn about pedestrian safety. She's not going to learn about cyclists. And that's because we have outdated state regulations from when the state NMDOT was called the Highway Department, and it doesn't list pedestrian safety and cyclist safety as a required component. And I think that's a failure to all the users that we see on roads. And so that's definitely another component in addition to protecting cyclists and pedestrians with the most up-to-date laws, but it's also working on educating our drivers. So thank you.